A lot of you guys that have been watching my channel for a long time have probably learned a lot about Deadside, but there are still lots of useful things that I have yet to cover on the channel, mostly because they are so random and don't really fit the theme of a guide. So, in this video, I'll be sharing those random but useful facts with you. I know some of my longtime viewers will know some of these, but I guarantee that none of you will know all of them. You know what? Once you're done watching this video, comment down below how many you already knew about. I'm interested to see how many of you have already really explored all of Deadside. Alright, let's get started. First, we have probably the most important tip of this video, a little something called Direct 3D 12. Deadside by default launches in Direct 3D 11, which, without going into too much detail, Direct 3D is an API that games use to render the graphics that you see while playing. But you can actually launch Deadside in Direct 3D 12, a much newer and more efficient version. To do this, you're going to need to find Deadside in your Steam library, right-click on it, open Properties, and where it says Launch Options, you're going to want to write what I've already written here. Just make sure you write -D3D12 and not anything else. It won't work if you make a typo. Once you have it there, you're done. Just launch the game and you'll be running in Direct 3D 12. So, why would you actually want to go through the trouble and do this? Well, Direct 3D 12 is a newer and much more efficient compared to Direct 3D 11, like I mentioned, meaning that Direct 3D 12 will make better use of your PC's resources while running the game, especially if you're using new hardware like the 20 or 30 series NVIDIA cards, Ryzen 9 or Intel 9 CPUs, stuff like that. People with that sort of hardware will see a huge frame increase from switching to Direct 3D 12. Personally, I run a 2080 Super with a Ryzen 9 3900X, and after switching to Direct 3D 12, I get a lot less stutters and much more consistent frame rates. Almost always over 100 and sometimes even over 130 depending on the location. If you don't have newer hardware though, you should still definitely do this. You won't see a huge increase, but this version of Direct 3D is still much more efficient, so your frames will be slightly higher with less drops. I haven't heard of a single reason to not do this. I've only heard that it improves frames, sometimes only a bit depending on the hardware, but I've also heard that this doubled the frame rate for some people, so I seriously think you guys should give this a try. Okay, enough with the technical stuff, let's talk about some actual in-game knowledge. Did you know that there are 2 caves in Deadside? I'm sure a good chunk of you already knew at least about this one, which is here since it's marked on the map. Outside of it is a little village with some bandits. You can walk through the cave and pop up on the other side looking at the military lake. But the other cave is probably not as well known. It's over here on the map and you can actually make a cave base in this one. Did you know that in the south military base there are actually skin crates here? These are the exact same crates that'll spawn in the bunker that you need a key to open, which gets you a skinned weapon. These crates don't spawn very often though, you will have to get lucky to find one, let alone 2. I found them on top of these sniper towers, inside of these garages, and at the end of this sandbag emplacement a lot. I'm sure there's probably other spawn points that I'm missing, but these are the main ones I've found to be consistent. So if you have a key but don't feel like going all the way up to the bunker, you have another option. So next we have some armor tips. I already covered these in my armor video, but I think it's worth talking about again anyways. Did you know that a Moto or construction helmet will actually save you from a headshot? I mean, it makes sense if you think about it, because why would it be in the game if it didn't do anything, but you will still die against Mosins and shotguns. But any rifle and pistol won't actually kill you, so if you're a fresh spawn and you find one of these, it's actually worth picking up. Although, if you're trying to be sneaky, maybe you shouldn't grab one. Did you know that most chest armor doesn't actually cover all of your chest? There's a gap around your stomach to your legs that is totally unprotected with every armor except for the heavy assault. This means if you're wearing assault armor and a heavy helmet, you can still get one-tapped if the person shooting you aims for the right spot. You can also use this while sniping or sneaking up on people just to get a one-tap through their armor when they're not expecting it. Okay, let's talk about something that you probably already know about. Gray crates. Now, I think these are really underappreciated, especially in the early game. For those that don't know, these gray crates spawn in set locations that are on the map. They drop ammo, clothing, guns, meds. They are seriously useful as a fresh spawn because it gives you almost everything you need to start taking on missions, especially if you can find multiple of them. So if you ever find one of these gray crates, try to remember the location so that you can come back later if you need it. But the main thing I wanted to mention with these gray crates is that depending on the location of the crate, you can get either better or worse loot. For example, the gray crates in the North military base will drop high-tier military loot much more often. From the gray crates inside of the 2-story buildings, I've gotten heavy assault armor a couple times, as well as Mosins and RBKs and other high-tier weapons pretty often. You can also find some good meds and other valuable items as well. So don't forget about these guys. They're one of the best sources of loot that spawn in the world, and it's almost always worth going out of your way to loot them. Next, let's talk about everybody's favorite gun, the BB19. Did you know that the BB19 is actually very different from all the other SMGs? Because it actually has the ballistics of a rifle, pretty much. No, seriously, take a look at this compared to all the other SMGs. The 7.62x25 cartridge just doesn't drop at all. This also extends to the TTK pistol, because it shoots the same bullet, so if you've ever seen a 100-meter headshot with the TTK, this is why. The BB19 is also the most accurate out of all the SMGs, so in theory, the BB19 could actually be used in a mid to long-range engagement, because I know you guys really want to use it that way. Let's talk about missions. Most of you are familiar with these. They're the oldest event in the game and one of the most common on the map, but did you know there's actually a really good way to know if you were the first person to be at a mission or not? The bots at the mission only spawn in when somebody gets decently close. We're talking like 150 to 200 meters, I'm not exactly sure. So if you're wondering if you're alone at a mission when you walk up, just take a look at it from far away with binoculars or something to see if there's any bots walking around yet. This is especially useful because if you do see bots, that means somebody else is already there trying to do the mission. Information you could easily take advantage of. Alright, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not sure how useful this next one is, but I had to include it anyways. Did you know that if you teleport out of the map with admin tools, you will now be pushed up way in the sky on top of the map border? I'm not sure why this happens now, but it's kind of fun to walk around in the sky and do all sorts of other admin tool shenanigans. Alright, here's something actually useful to know about base building. You can only place 20 of a group of base objects. These objects are the fence walls, sandbags, and towers. So if you have 10 fences, you can only place 10 sandbags, or 10 towers if that's what you want. I'm not sure why this limit exists. Maybe it's to prevent people from making a base from only fence walls, or maybe from abusing sandbags in a way to mimic extra internal walls, or maybe it's for server performance, although I kinda doubt that. In any case, this limit does exist, so if you're thinking of building a base, it's really good to know about this limit before you get started, so that your base design doesn't get ruined by some limit you didn't know about. Alright, here's a bonus fact because why not? Did you know that the South Safe Zone is actually a bus station? A while back I had somebody translate this sign, and it does have some mildly interesting things to say, but the most interesting thing is that the sign itself is a bus schedule. And taking a look at the South Safe Zone now, this actually makes a lot more sense to why it looks the way that it looks. Alright, that's everything I could think of that you guys would actually care to know about. There's still a lot to learn in Deadside, but I wanted to keep this video short and sweet. If you guys enjoy this sort of content, I have more guides and gameplay videos on my channel, so be sure to check them out if you're new here. I know this isn't a typical video for my channel, but I've been wanting to make another guide for a while now, and I'm not really sure what to cover since I've kind of already done most of what there is to do when it comes to guides. And yes, I know I still haven't done the bullet drop video. There's a good reason for that, and you'll see that when you see the video, but I don't know when it's going to be done. Alright, that's all I have for now. See you.